Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm going to share with you 10 of my favorite blind buys from my collection. These are 10 fragrances that I bought completely unaware of how they smelled. I took a risk and I love them. So let's get into the video. Now, first things first, there is a lot of blind buys in my collection. I do a humongous amount of my purchasing blind. Do not do that. Do as I say, not as I do. In a lot of cases, I do a lot of blind buying to review for you guys. So I get comfy high. So that is something that I had to really sit down and think which fragrances are my top 10 favorite blind buy fragrances. The other thing I wanted to do was make sure I didn't feature more than one from a single house. So there might be an entire house, like probably Zoologist, a lot of House of Matriarch, some other houses that I've purchased a lot of those fragrances blind just because I generally love the houses and get excited for new releases. So I tried to find the one fragrance that I've gotten from that house that really sums up my excitement and just my absolute like exuberance and happiness, and just completely checked off every positive thing in being. Find that one fragrance that really met and exceeded my expectations in regards to purchasing from that house. So that's why you might be like, well, where's this fragrance? Where's this fragrance? These are one fragrance per house. I think all of these minus two of them I purchased full price as well. One of them is a discontinued fragrance and I've kind of ran into it at TJ Maxx. The other one is a discontinued fragrance and I searched high and low for it on eBay, and I think I paid more for it than you would pay for it when it was actually released, because it's one of those scents. But every other one of these fragrances I paid full price for, and some of them are very, very pricey. So when I buy blind, I'm pretty much like, I know that I'm taking a risk. But being a fragrance reviewer on YouTube and being a fragrance collector, I stomach that risk, eat that risk, I don't mind it. But do not in any way do that if you guys, blind buying is not the smartest thing in the world to do, guys. I do it because of my YouTube channel and my collecting, and it's just fragrance is something that I love. But don't blind buy, definitely sample first. And don't buy based on YouTube reviewers or any reviews recommendations. You guys know what's going to work for you. So definitely sample first, especially for some of these more expensive fragrances. But that being said, I thought it would be fun to share with you my most successful blind buys. We're gonna start off with the one that I talk the most about in regards to being a successful blind buy, and it's from Roja, and it's from Kingdom of Bahrain. Now there are two fragrances in this lineup, or in this list, that I purchased the same way. When I lived down in Fort Lauderdale, my essay at Neiman Marcus Larry, they would always get returns for people getting gifts, they didn't want them, or they had buyer's remorse, and they would return these bottles of fragrances that they didn't sell at that location. So they would have these random bottles of fragrances like sitting off in the corner, and then a lot of times I would come and I'd be like, hey, let me buy that and we'll smell it. So one of the fragrances was this Roja scent, and I remember Larry talking to me about it. Somebody had returned it, it was the wrong one, I forget exactly what was up with it. And as he was telling me about it, I was on Fragrantica like reading the notes, and before I had even like clicked off my phone, I pulled out my credit card and I just handed it to Larry, and I'm like, I'm gonna get it. And he was so excited. So I purchased it, and then we opened it and we smelled it there, and I was so impressed with this. If you guys don't know my love for this fragrance, Kingdom of Bahrain from Roja, it is absolutely a masterpiece in my opinion. It is gorgeous, it's decadent, it smells really light and beautiful and kind of like a sweet lemon cookie on the skin, or at least on my skin. There's a lot of notes in here, so this is definitely a fragrance I recommend you sampling first before you buy, because if your skin pulls different notes, I could kind of offset the balance of this fragrance just depending how fragrances perform on your skin. But on my skin, this smells amazing. So I definitely wasn't let down. It's one of my favorite fragrances, and definitely probably my favorite Roja, which is saying something because I just love that house in general. we'll go on to the other fragrance. That's one of my favorite blind buys and my favorite fragrance from Byredo. The same way, Larry loved Byredo, and I think that this fragrance was sitting at his counter for like 2 months before I finally bought this scent. And we were so excited to smell it together, and it smells so good. And it's the Unnamed fragrance from Byredo. If you guys don't know, this is my favorite Byredo fragrances. It smells so good. It's light, it's airy, it's a little bit powdery, it's very aromatic, and it's just effortlessly beautiful. I really love this. It's definitely up there for one of my favorite fragrances, and definitely my favorite Byredo. We're talking about super blind buying. Let's talk about an Indiegogo that I funded, and I'm super excited with the scent. It's been one of my top 10 favorite fragrances ever. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and it's from 4160 Tuesdays London, and it's Oh My Soul. This fragrance captures a lot of different notes and nuances and celebrates them in their own individual way, but at the same time it's very warm, resinous, and inviting, and I just find it to be really gorgeous on the skin, and I really love Oh My Soul. So this is definitely a fragrance that no one had tried it really. It was an Indiegogo. I definitely felt very confident in backing the project, and I was ridiculously pleased when I got that fragrance. A fragrance that took me a long time to track down based on other reviews is Rose Explosion from Viktor and Rolf Flowerbomb. Rose Explosion. I don't know why I forgot that. This fragrance, I actually first heard Charles Gross talk about this scent, and I was really intrigued by it, and I do like Flowerbomb. I don't think that it's like a crazy, like not coming of age, but groundbreaking scent, but I can see its insane popularity within the designer market. I can definitely understand why so many people flock to that fragrance. What I loved about this scent is that it's so good. It's so good. There's just something about the way that the saffron and the rose really plays with the DNA of Flowerbomb that just smells so substantially sexy on the skin. It's powerful, it's a little bit spicy, but it has a really great foundation to it that just kind of anchors it to your skin and just makes it smell pleasant and beautiful and sexy and mysterious and spicy and inviting. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous scent. You see this on so many of my lists, and people get mad at me when I do put this on lists because this is a discontinued fragrance. It is hard to find. If you can track a bottle down, definitely do it. I forget how much I paid for this. It took me a long time to track a bottle down. I've considered tracking down a backup bottle of this, but it was well worth the extra money I paid for it. It is so good. Now, most of the fragrances from this house that I've purchased are blind buys. The first, I'd say probably like 7 or 8 fragrances I purchased weren't blind buys. I did get samples of them and tried them and did really enjoy them. But I must say that when I decided to choose which fragrance from this house to represent my favorite blind buy, it's my favorite fragrance from this house currently, and it's Zoologist, and it's Bee. Now, Koala, again, right now is like neck and neck with Bee, so I could have easily chosen Koala, but I'm just still in love with like this balmy, waxy, like sweet, like balsamic scent. It just smells really sexy on the skin, and my love for honey notes is definitely satiated with this really gorgeous scent. Another fragrance house that I have a lot of, in fact I own more fragrances from this house than any other, is House of Matriarch, and I would say a good 2/3 of them I've purchased blind, and I've been so happy and enraptured with every fragrance from that house. I really love Christie's vision, but I think the one fragrance that I purchased blind is the one that got me the most excited. It was the most transportive, it was the most magical, and I think it really puts on display Christie's unique talent for telling stories with scent, and it's Sacre Noir. This scent just smells so beautiful. It smells so enchanting. I love the aromatic greenness that this scent has. It takes you on an enchanted journey through an enchanted forest that might be a little haunted in the winter with like a gumdrop path. It's a little bit sweet, it's a little bit green, it's a little bit sticky, and it just is so gorgeous. And I remember smelling this and loving this, like absolutely falling in mad love with this scent. So I think this is the best representation, there we go, of House of Matriarch scents that I purchased blind that just kind of met and completely exceeded my expectations. Now, every fragrance from this house I've purchased blind. It's a house not too many people talk about. I think Sebastian's talked about them, Steven's talked about them. A few other people have talked about this house. This is definitely an underappreciated house that I think deserves more attention within the fragrance community, and it's the Harmonist. I don't know why I keep scratching my nose, I'm sorry. And it's Moon Glory. This is the newest one. I'm really excited for the companion fragrance for this. I already have the money set aside to buy it. I'm really excited. But I think what I love about this one is just its white flowers at its finest. And as much as I love the other Harmonist fragrances, Sacred Water or Hypnotizing Fire could easily have been in this spot too. But I think that the wearability of Moon Glory kind of steps it above those other fragrances. I could wear this fragrance every day, anywhere, any time of year where I live, and it would be appropriate. So I definitely think this one deserves the top spot amongst all of my Harmonist fragrances just because of its wearability. But I'm in love with the brand itself. They're really great. Another brand that I don't purchase everything blind. I have had the opportunity to smell most of the line, not all of the line, but this particular fragrance I purchased blind is New York from Armani Prive. Now this fragrance right here I find to be a little bit different than the other Armani Prive fragrances, because I find the other ones not to be minimalistic fragrances, but they kind of latch onto one note and one theme, and they really kind of put that theme on a pedestal and do it to the best of its ability, and in a lot of cases they're terribly successful. But what I love about New York is this just smells like a beautiful, complex, sophisticated, mature scent, but it just has a magic powdery beauty to it that I'm just enraptured by. This is my second favorite Armani Prive fragrances. Rose d'Araby is my first. But I did not buy Rose d'Araby blind. I milked a little sample from a magazine for like months. If you guys knew how long I milked that little sample, you would be horrified. This one I genuinely bought blind before I even read the notes. I just had an opportunity to get it. I purchased it. Fantastic scent. I love it. Would definitely repurchase it when I use through it because it is that good. The next fragrance is one from Gallagher Fragrances, and some of the fragrances from Gallagher I've tried. Some of them were sent to me. Daniel's very sweet. And other ones I purchased blind. But I will say, out of all the fragrances I purchased blind, this is the one that most impressed me, and I do genuinely love Gallagher fragrances. I haven't been disappointed with any of his fragrances, but this one really wowed me, and it's wicked good. Now what I love about this fragrance is it's celebrating vanilla in its finest form, but at the same time it's got a rich decadent chocolate note in there and a really beautiful grounding tonka note, and I think that those three notes really play together to create a very scrumptious and decadent chocolate fragrance. So if you like gourmands, if you like chocolate fragrances, this one is great. It is on the pricey side, but it is well worth it. I am definitely so enraptured with that scent. The last one is the one I got from TJ Maxx, and this one is very special to me. It is my scent of the day. Every time I smell this fragrance, I just end up spraying myself with it, so even if I wasn't planning on wearing this scent, I knew if it was going to be part of this list, I was going to end up wearing it. And it's from The Body Shop, and it's White Musk Smoky Rose. This one has such strong scent memories for me that I didn't expect to have a real connection with this fragrance when I purchased it for like $5 at TJ Maxx. But when I opened this, when I got home and I smelled it, it instantly transported me to my childhood. It's sweet, it's powdery, it smells like perfumed baby wipes, powdery, sweet, clean babies that maybe have a high taste for fragrance in regards to like roses and powders and things like that. And it smells a little bit like plastic toys. It reminds me of my childhood, the blissful years when I was like 7 years old. My little sister was like a toddler, so she was still in diapers, but we used to play. I used to bully her because I was really a terrible little sister, big sister I should say. But just the innocence of my childhood when I had no worries. I didn't know what was going on in the world. My family was alive and healthy and everyone was great. It took me there, and it definitely is a strong memory for me, a strong scent memory for me, and I just like the way it smells. So I purchased an eau de toilette to wear instead of my eau de parfum because I want to kind of keep this one, and I've been considering getting the fragrance oil as well. But the one edition, or the one concentration that I purchased blind, was White Musk Smoky Rose. So that's why this one is part of this. And honestly, if I have to think about all of these fragrances in my collection, the one that I think I'm the most excited, the most pleased, and I'm just so glad I got is actually this one. Because all of these other fragrances are fantastic, but at some point I probably would have tried a lot of them and purchased them, but this one was just right place, right time, and it's so special to me that that one is irreplaceable. It's practically a priceless fragrance for me, just because of the memories that surround it. But anyway, that is my video. Those are my top 10 blind buy fragrances. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think I have reviews of most of these. If I do, I will link them below if you want to check them out. If not, let me know if you'd like a review of any of them. Any case, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd love to know what fragrances that you guys have blind bought that have been ridiculously successful, or if you see any of these fragrances and you think, why is that part of this list? Let me know too. Any case, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.